Digimon Story Time Stranger got yet another Omnimon added to the game this week, with Omnimon Merciful Mode being the 5th Digimon added to the Gakuran Bancho DLC. Of course, my favourite Bancho, Omnimon Merciful Mode. And with the future of the DLC seemingly locked in now, at least for this pack. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, that means we've got every Omnimon in this game, right? And yes, but also not even close. For people who hate Omnimon, this is not good news for the future of Digimon products in DLC, but for big fans of Omnimon,
life is good, but it can be better.
What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to another Digimon video, and if it's not welcome back, please do hit that subscribe button. 100k is nice, but imagine a million. It's never happening. So yes, Omnimon is replete in Digimon Story Time Stranger. We've got Omnimon, Omnimon Zvort Defeat, Omnimon Alter S, Omnimon Alter B, and now Omnimon Merciful Mode. So that means right now you can make a party full of entirely just Omnimon in Digimon Story Time Stranger, although no data attributes, so what are you gonna do? I guess level them all to 9999 stats. There is of course probably the most notable Omnimon variant missing from the game, Omnimon X. This part of the video is gonna have spoilers for the DLC, the third wave of the DLC. If you don't wanna know what is going on in that DLC, skip ahead now. So yes, in the third DLC, based on data mines, it does actually look like we're going to see Omnimon X too. Meaning that by the time the third wave of DLC comes out, first of all, it's gonna be pretty cool that finally every Omnimon variant, at least every notable Omnimon variant, is in a prominent video game, not a mobile game or a smaller side thing. They're all gonna be here. Except they're not. Welcome back, spoiler people. Because there's actually a ton of Omnimon and Omnimon-adjacent Digimon that you could count when trying to make a game filled with every single Omnimon variant. First of all, there is omegamon, which visually looks like a little puppet Omnimon, right? I do feel like omegamon is definitely next in line for maybe the next story game to get a actual outing be added to the roster, as he was a medal in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory and a card in World Next Order, plus showing up in Digimon Eirias. I feel like omegamon is something we can definitely see in the next game, especially considering how important omegamon is to Digimon Liberator. And omegamon being in Digimon Liberator and the TCG is actually why I'm going to counter the people in the comments already saying, omegamon isn't omegamon, it isn't Omnimon, it's deliberately a homage or pastiche, it's like the Mimikyu of Omnimon. And I totally agree with that. It is not intrinsically an Omnimon. However, it is partnered with Cool Boy in Digimon Liberator and digivolves directly into Omnimon x-antibody. But in addition to that, now because omegamon is in the card game and partnered with Cool Boy, its card text in BT15060 directly states that omegmon's name should also be treated as an omegamon or an Omnimon. While this card is revealed from the deck, its name is also treated as Omnimon. So yeah, that's a hyper technicality, right? It's the TCG, it's not other outings, but it is so close to being an Omnimon variant, we may as well count it, and it should be added to Time Stranger or a future game. Then is one that is technically removed from a previous Digimon story game, and that is Omnimon NX. The NX Royal Knights were these little chibi versions of the Royal Knights that were initially paid DLC, but then got added to the base game when you bought Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory Complete Edition. And it's just a little Omnimon. I mean, I really don't know why they cut these. There's not really any reason to have done so. I feel like you could have bundled them into the Ultimate Edition or something. But their canonicity as Digimon is also super up in the air. They're not in the Digimon reference book. They've never been like called specifically NX Digimon. It's just an Omnimon that's been shrunk down. But maybe we'll see it again in a video game one day, and technically is another Omnimon variant they could have added to this game. Then we've got some deep cuts. Digimon that definitely have never been officially considered variants of Omnimon, and in fact one that has been revised. And the first one of those that I'm talking about is Omnimon Black, the original version from the crossloader. So you're probably familiar with Omnimon Zvort. It's in the base game of Digimon Story Time Stranger. You don't even need the DLC Black Agumon and Black Gabumon to access it. You can just mode change from regular Omnimon. And it's a fully black form. Arms, body, everything. However, on the original Digimon Cross Wars Crossloader V-Pet toy, there was a black version of Omnimon, but it retained the regular Wargreymon and regular Metal Garurumon arms, putting it into this interesting spot as a variant. It's like half Omnimon, half Omnimon's Vorts. Like during the mode change in Time Stranger, Omnimon got stuck halfway through. I don't know if we're ever gonna see this guy again, but I mean, it would be a super easy recolor if you want to pad the roster. And similarly is the gold Omnimon from Digimon Rearise. So Digimon Rearise had this ranked ladder when it was still a real video game, rest in peace Rearise, for its story climax anniversary, actually not long before the game got shut down. It had these recolors of Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon, which honestly kind of made them look a little bit more like Victory Greymon and Zed Garurumon. I'm sure that was intentional. But naturally, if you're going to have this gold and red Wargreymon and blue and green Metal Garurumon, you got to give them an Omnimon. And as such, Gold Omnimon, as the fandom refers to it, was born. A golden-bodied Omnimon with this more red Wargreymon on one side and the bluer Metal Garurumon on the other side. This is right up there with Magnamon Black as variants that are so cool but have never been officially recognized as actual variants, like you might see Black Wargreymon actually recognized as a Digimon in its own right. And while I do think the Black Magnamon from Rearise takes the cake, it is absolutely one of the best recolors we've ever seen that's never been officially recognized as a variant. Gold Omnimon also exists, and you know, if a lot of these Omnimon variants count, this one should too. When we get a new Digimon story game and they're hunting for ways to sell Omnimon to people, they're like desperate to make that Omnimon money, that's when they'll come crawling back to Omnimon Gold. If you are actually interested in recruiting the Omnimon Gold and the original cross-loader version of Black Omnimon, there are actually mods for Time Stranger available now on the PC version that allow you to do that. So shoutouts to those mods by Hyotan over on Game Banana. In fact, they have a lot of the Rearise variants in a pack. Like I say, that Omnimon Black and even the Magnamon Black from Rearise. Ooh, buddy. And the final recolor, I guess, or variant of some variety is VR Omega, a darker colored virtual reality recreation of Omnimon from Digimon Tamer's Brave Tamer. I don't think anyone is clamoring for its return, and when I see people talking about the vast array of Omnimon variants, this one is very often forgotten, I guess because it doesn't have a Mon in its name, but it's an Omnimon variant of sorts. Again, you could throw it in, pad that roster. Alright, then are some Digimon that are way more dubious, like they are not intrinsically Omnimon, or they are very Omnimon-adjacent, but again, if you were looking to pad out a DLC and sell $30 more DLC to Omnimon fans, it would be an option. And the first of those is Omegamon, and this is technically a Digimon. It's an Omnimon-like form, but made of Medabots instead of Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon. But it's got the Mon suffix, right? So it's a Digimon. Well, it's Omegamon, you get the pun. Honestly, this did show up in Digimon Rearise, it's totally possible. The only thing stopping it showing up in Digimon video games going forward is the whole Medabots licensing rights thing. But they do have a good relationship, and I am always a little bit baffled when Digimon has these cool crossovers like Medabots, Godzilla, Monster Hunter. We don't end up seeing these half Digimon, half other franchise creatures actually show up in Digimon media outside of the V-Pets. And yeah, like I say, it's 100% just a licensing issue, but god, I wish they'd spring for the money. I'd love to see Wrath Greymon, Omegamon, and G Erosion Skull Greymon all in a video game one day. Next up is, wait, is that Omnimon NX again? No, actually. This is Omega Knight, which objectively looks the most like Omnimon or Omegamon in this second half of Digimon that aren't really Omnimon. But technically, it's not a Digimon at all. It's the exact inverse of Omegamon. It's a Medabot that happens to look like a Digimon, in this instance Omnimon, comprised of Grey Wars and Garuru Metal, two other Medabots that happen to look exactly like Digimon. This has got the exact same issues as Omegamon, just in reverse, but it's the one that looks way more like Omnimon of the two, so imagine having Omega Knight and Omnimon NX on the same party. The last one here is really not an Omnimon variant. However, there are already two Digimon in the base game that get their power directly from Omnimon. Imperialdramon Paladin mode, of course, but also Omni Shoutmon, both of which kind of getting their powers in a similar way, Omnimon bequeathing its power to them. And whether or not X-antibody Digimon are coming to Time Stranger, if you've already got Omni Shoutmon and a bunch of Omnimon, I don't don't see why we couldn't also have an Omni-Shoutmon X in the game. Don't know if anyone's going to buy a DLC over it, but maybe that's something to consider for a future game, maybe with more X-antibody in the base roster. And then finally, there are the things that are barely even variants, but worth talking about. Again, if Bandai really wants to. I feel like someone's going to accuse me in the comments of like looking for a way for Bandai to shill Omnimon as DLC forever. And while I definitely don't want that and Bandai shouldn't do this, it would be really funny if they did. Anyway, yes, briefly in Adventure 2020, during the final battle with the Badamon Core, we see a kind of Omnimon double sword mode with the Crest Garurumon and War Greymon hands, and an Omnimon double gun mode with the Blitz Greymon and Metal Garurumon hands. These variants don't even really exist yet per se, because they're more like transitional forms. They didn't stick as the double sword or double gun form, but I feel like it was almost like a hint of something that could exist one day, maybe in a Karn EX custom art video. If you're looking again for an easy thing to do, like it would literally be like a model kit bash. Just cut the arm off Alter S and put it on regular Omnimon and vice versa. Add it to the game! And finally, speaking of a Badamon Core, it's not an Omnimon, but as a major enemy of Omnimon from Adventure 2020, it very clearly lore-wise took its visual design somewhat from Omnimon with a kind of blade arm and gun arm, and I'm sure the design is creating this final enemy for Omnimon for the anime. In 2020, we're like, oh yeah, let's make something that's based on Omnimon. But that is it! I believe every Omnimon that is still kind of missing from Time Stranger. Basically, there's just a list of Omnimon variants, isn't it? Including Omnimon X, I make that approximately 12 kind of to very much so Omnimon that are not in this game. A lot of these are a super technicality, and only some of them I think even stand a chance of showing up in a video game, let alone as DLC. But if you ever want to actually someone and they say, every single Omnimon is now in Time Stranger, you can show them this video. And you know what? I bet someone's gonna actually me in the comments. I bet there's even more somewhere squirreled away, an Omnimon technicality that we could put in this video, like the very early scrapped Zexmon, which was kind of an Omnimon counterpart made up of Armageddon and Imperialdramon, which probably eventually led to Digimon like Chaosmon. This Digimon didn't even leave the design, the sketching phase, so didn't include it on the list, but I technically included it in the video. We're gonna count that. We also have to count Garuru, Greymon, and Masterdramon. I don't think they're getting added to Digimon Story Time Stranger anytime soon either. Anyway, let me know if there's an Omnimon variant you think I've missed in the comments down below, and if you would consider joining my patrons over on patreon.com/Karn EX, like my Sovereign, ZDK14, Jeremy Babineau, Chaotic Prophet, and Lupus Lichlord. I would really appreciate it. Or if you'd like to, you could also join over here on YouTube channel memberships like my amazing DigiDestined and more, who support this channel, make it all possible. There's also super thanks on YouTube. I think you can just leave like a one-off donation in the comments. Kicking my way, keep Digimon YouTube alive. We didn't get 100K for nothing, baby. All right, anyway, I'm being silly. I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye-bye.